Joker 2 is apparently further along than anyone could have realized, as reports are coming out of Todd Phillips coming back to helm Joker 2. Obviously a return from Joaquin Phoenix, and my phone's cryptocurrency alerter going off at the most inopportune times, likely picked up by the recording.
That's fantastic news. Yeah, and I'm hoping that Robert De Niro makes a comeback too.
I hope so too. I mean, he didn't get what he deserved enough.
No.
It's The Reckoning. That's what Joker 2 is called.
Absolutely.
The Reckoning.
The Reckoning of Robert De Niro.
Please leave a like if you enjoy this video. Subscribe for more content. We're going to be getting into this here right quick, though, because Joker 2 is really all but confirmed. I mean, it is confirmed, really.
It pretty much was after it came out.
Yeah, I don't know why this was a surprise to people. A lot of people are saying, like, well, I didn't know. I didn't know this was going to come out, and this is unnecessary. And here's the thing. Couple things, first off. Yeah. Any sequel in Hollywood pretty much is unnecessary.
Correct.
Any sequel. I would even argue things that set up sequels like John Wick 2, anything, you could leave them open-ended if you really want to. You could just say, well, we had our run. Good movie. Great show. New idea. We move on. But guess what Hollywood doesn't do? That. This movie made $1 billion off of the back of like a $50 million budget.
Right.
What did you think was going to happen? This should not be a surprise to anyone.
No, they made a crazy amount of money off of this. It was critically acclaimed as one of the best DC movies in a long, long time. And Joaquin Phoenix was an incredible Joker, especially after what happened with Suicide Squad and Jared Leto. So they came out, they told a really profound and compelling story, did a really good job, made a lot of money, and so that is absolutely a recipe for a sequel to be made, especially with a lot of the failures, I guess you could say, of the DCEU. Financially, maybe in some respects, they still made, I think, quite a bit of money off a lot of those movies, but nonetheless, this was a complete slam dunk for Warner Bros., so it makes sense that they try to get everyone back again to hopefully do the same thing on maybe a little bit bigger of a budget, but I'm sure they're expecting to make just as much money.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And that's the thing, too, is it was surprising to me to see a lot of people on, Twitter, which is, generally just a wretched hive of scum and villainy.
It's a cesspool.
Just in general. Saying things like this movie will flop or it won't do well or, oh, this is unnecessary or all this stuff. Like, yeah, look, here's the thing. Again, is it a little unnecessary? Do we agree with that a little bit? Yeah, this could have just been a standalone movie. It ends very perfectly, I think.
It feels like it should have, like it was designed to be a standalone movie. I think that's what they said at first, was that it was just a one-off.
And it's open-ended.
Yeah.
And it's also open-ended in interpretation throughout the entire movie. Like, for example, did everything happen? Did everything not? Did some of it happen? Did some of it not? You can notice that the story, obvious spoilers for Joker here, the story starts to get a little crazier as soon as Arthur Fleck is denied his medication.
Mm-hmm.
So is everything from that point on what isn't real? Or is it him descending into actual madness in real life and it was all real? We don't know.
You don't know.
So that's the thing, too, with that movie was it's very interesting and deep. There is a lot to the story to pick apart and a lot of different theories on it as well and a lot of open-endedness to it, which a sequel could ruin, which I agree with a lot of people on, right? That's kind of the issue I have with this. I think that in making this, you need to find a way to preserve the spirit of the first movie. Even if you can maybe not confirm that everything happened, if you can somehow pick up in the future without doing that, I think that would probably be best. But the idea that this isn't going to do well because of that, or that people who are saying they're not going to see it aren't going to see it, I am skeptical.
I'm pretty confident it'll do well if it starts to get which really what it took for Joker was that trailer initially, the first trailer, for me at least, got me insanely hyped for that movie.
Too.
And then you see the critical reviews coming in and they were unbelievably positive. They were you really didn't see many negative reviews about Joker, except for how intense it was. It was a very tense, even graphic movie at times. And so then you get into, what are they going to do for the second one? Especially with, like you said, all of the kind of mystery behind it. You're not really sure what happens. Like you said, I'm a little bit nervous, but I feel like with most of the main cast coming back, they could maybe go into the future a little bit. And now that you've established that Bruce Wayne is, he was a kid, maybe you just ignore that and you just focus on Joker still more. There's a lot of different directions that they can go with this. And I think that's what's also exciting about it. And that's what's going to bring people in again. Is there's a million different directions you can go with a movie like this. Because they really didn't establish a whole lot. You established who the character was really within the character of Arthur Fleck. But you don't really know about anything else that happened for sure. You don't. It feels like it happened, but it's questionable by the end of it. Because like you said, the meds and things getting a little bit crazy, and like he's watching the scene of him going on the Murray show, on the Murray talk show, and then later on in the movie, that's where he ends up. Like there's a lot of things that tie in that kind of make you question a little bit. So,
well, it's interesting too. I mean, to me though, the biggest takeaway here is I just find it amusing that people are saying they think it's going to flop.
yeah.
Again, so first off, $1 billion movie off 50 million. What do you think they're going to do? They're going to make a sequel, no matter what. This could literally be the VeggieTales movie. If it made that much money, they would make a sequel. This could be Passion of the Christ. Oh wait, they are making a sequel to that now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Hollywood always does this. And secondly, the people saying that they're not going to see it, I really predict this to be essentially Xbox 360's Modern Warfare. Do you remember this with Modern Warfare? I believe it was 3, maybe it was 2, but basically people were saying at the time when it came out with COD, they were like, oh, like, why can't they make a new franchise? I don't want a sequel to this. I don't want another sequel. It's like, I'm not going to buy this. Like, I don't like these practices from Activision. The day it came out, it was so-and-so is online playing Modern Warfare. So-and-so is online playing everyone bought it anyway.
Right.
Because like people are interested in the entertainment, and we know this is going to make money. And
for sure.
This will likely get a third sequel. I'm not sure about that, but I really wouldn't be surprised. I guess the question kind of one is, where do they go from here with this? I mean, is this Joker going to ever tie in to the overall multiverse? Is he not? Are they going to try to bring in a Batman to this universe? Who knows? And really, what will the marketing push be? Because the marketing push last time that really pushed this over $1 billion, I truly believe, was the media. Do you remember the scare tactics around this movie?
Yes.
Of like, this movie is dangerous. This movie is irresponsible. This movie glorifies white anger and like incels and all this stuff. And everyone was like, what?
And honestly, that's what I think propelled it even more so to make $1 billion. Like the total opposite effect of what they wanted happened, where the movie, because of all the somewhat, I guess you could say, negative hype around it, not even around, I guess, the story and the acting or anything like that, but around some of the principles that it talked about, were considered so dumb. And people went and saw it and are like, this is a good movie. This is stupid. You're just way over the top. So that kind of media really didn't do anything but help the movie. So
What's weird is I haven't seen that yet. Now, I wouldn't be surprised, like, for 2.
Oh, sure, yeah.
So I'm wondering if the media learned from that or not.
Maybe.
Because it was weird. I feel like every time something comes out that they don't like, they forget about the Streisand effect, which is like, hey, don't look at this. What's everyone going to do?
If you look at it.
What do you not want me to look at? I'm looking it up.
Right.
That's kind of the thing. And I just kind of wonder if they've learned from that or not, because WB was able to kind of masterfully go off of that and look like the underdog.
Mm-hmm.
This is $1 billion corporation, well, multi-billion, I'm sure, dollar corporation that was able to go off of this negative press, look like the underdog, spin it positively, almost like, why are you attacking us and our actors and director?
They did, and then you got the overall, like, you've got not only that press action that's going on, but also the looming over everything is them versus Marvel, too. And so it's like, well, finally we made a movie that is, like, good, and could be something that we can kind of be like, hey, we made a really good product here too, because the DCEU wasn't really doing anything. So It's like really their first DC movie in a long time that was like, look, like we're capable of doing some pretty good things here. Come check it out. And people did. It was just like a perfect storm really by the end of it. And I think it got delayed at one point too. So that also was part of it. And maybe that was something that helped.
Well, and you had the political atmosphere in the background too. I mean, it's worth noting that was like a huge thing. And this was, I would argue this was a point sort of for the media where everything had to be that. I mean, I would say 2015 to 2020 at least. I'm interested to see how that changes, because surprisingly the media pipes down when who they want in office gets there. Mm-hmm. But generally everything during that time had to be a product of the political atmosphere according to them.
Right.
Or a product of discontent, or a product of like, oh man, this is a polarizing thing. Let's make it polarizing because we can make money off of that. But it turned out WB made the money off that. Mm-hmm. And we see that. I mean, if without that negative press, not to make this all about that, I honestly think that this movie, for what it was, I mean, I know Aquaman made $1 billion without that, right? But for what this was, a rated R Joker movie that they pitched basically without a Batman, without anything around it, no extended universe of any kind, I would have seen like $600 million, maybe $750 million. But like the amount of people they made mad to go see it, it's the opposite effect of Charlie's Angels, where they were kind of like, this movie is not for white men, or this movie's not for men, and then men wouldn't see it, and they're like, why aren't men seeing this movie?
Yeah,
it's like there's a real meme of that too. It was like an article. Yeah. It was like they say this movie is not for men, and then like 2 months later, they talk about why men are not seeing this movie. It's like, well, you told them not to.
Well, it was like the female Ghostbusters thing too. It's the same idea. The exact same thing happened, and so like you said, that affected Joker in the opposite way, and really helped that movie take off and be, I mean, one of the best movies. Critically, box office, I mean, of the whole year. So, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. I guess in conclusion here, all my point is that I'm interested to see if we'll see more of that. And I'm also interested to see if this unnecessary sequel type hype, which even I agree with to a little bit of, some extent, because I love the open-endedness. It's a little bit like Blade Runner. How do you touch that and not mess it up? Which they were able to do, so maybe they can, with this. It's essentially this idea of, what will this actually end up making? We know it will be positive. We know it will make a lot of money. We know people will see it, but will that help? Will people show up because of how slandered Joker 1 was by the media still? Will we see that same thing happen again, or will we see the media try and avoid this because they looked like absolute ass clowns when they did that the first time?
Yeah.
Will we essentially see people see it because they think it's unnecessarily like, oh man, that movie was so good. How would they follow that up? I gotta see this. What will we see happen? I'm very interested to see. And also, will we ever see a tie-in with the Batman mythos or any of these other universes? Because WB is pushing very hard towards multiverse, especially with all the reports of Keaton in The Flash along with Affleck. Now there's reports of Keaton returning for a possible Batman Beyond movie as well, although that's been rumored for about 3 years.
Right.
So we don't know. But very interesting to see what will happen going forward. Let us know what you think in the comments down below. Be sure to leave a like if you enjoyed this. Subscribe for more content. We have all the links in the description down below. We have the secondary channel, Degenerate Plays, where we play through a wide variety of different games together. We are wrapping up right now with Tomb Raider Legend. Few more parts of that, and then we actually have starting up Gone Home. T, you are in that.
I sure am.
So it's going to be a fantastic time. We committed a lot of domestic pranks. We set up a father to be accused of cheating on his wife, so that's fantastic.
Well deserved.
I mean, there's a lot of things. Like, honestly, the true Joker was inside us the whole time. Wait a minute.
Wait a second.
Hold on. Have a fantastic day, and as always, stay away.